G'day all, it's Colin from PC TLC and thanks for joining me. We're on the desktop of Feren OS. This is the live USB and this is the Feren OS Next Experimental. So this is the experimental of Feren OS, so he recommends that do not put it on a production machine. It's early and work in progress. The nature of this ISO of Feren OS, there is still a lot that can change, as well as some missing features here and there in the KDE experience. If you'd like to see the current known bugs, you can view them from here. There's other known bugs that's going around that he's aware of. And if you discover any other bugs or issues with Feren OS Next while testing, please use the send feedback, which is this one here. So we can close this window and we can look at this window here. So welcome to Feren OS. So he gives you an option to choose a theme mode from the start. Default, light or dark. I'll just go with default at the moment. And then it opens up into the next welcome screen, which is an introduction to Feren OS. Features. Getting started, customizations, install preparation, dual booting, all sorts of information there to help you out. And some installation help, online store, community, get involved and donate. And we also have the install now button. So if we type install, there should be an install now here as well, install Feren OS. And that would be in probably the system, I would say, under system category, install Feren OS. So we shall install now, American English, but you can choose others, but that's good enough for me. We'll go next. Location is Australia, Perth. And just on that one, you can change these. I've shown that, I think on the Manjaro install as well, that uses Calamares as well. But that's all good for me there right now. English Australian. I'm going to do a manual partitioning like I always do. Now I've got 3 partitions here. One is my FAT32 boot partition. So I shall edit that. I'll format that to FAT32. And that will be boot EFI because I'm running under the EFI. And the second one is where the operating system will be installed. So we'll format that. ext4. And that will be root. Okay. This one here I think had the boot option there. Yep. So it's boot EFI and it's got the boot flag. And this one here, root. No need for the boot flag there. That'll be done with this one. Now this one here I'm not going to touch. I've got some screenshots on there and some ISOs as well. So that's my data partition. So I'm going to leave that. I'm not even going to touch it. And we're going to go next. And then we'll just check out what it's going to do there. Make sure we've done the right thing. Device SDA1, SDA2, and not touching SDA3. So that all looks good. And we shall click the install button and install now. So that is the install complete for Feren OS Next, based on Ubuntu with the KDE Plasma desktop. So we shall shut this one down and boot up into the freshly installed desktop and have a look around at what Feren has done with the KDE Plasma desktop. See what he has to offer on this desktop. So here we are on the desktop of Feren OS, the freshly installed Feren OS. We got a welcome screen here, but we also have the typical Feren welcome to Feren OS Next Experimental. So it's the same, I think it's the same message as the live disk anyway. Let's just have a quick look at this. Thank you for helping to test Feren OS Next to try and help find issues, bugs and other problems. We've seen that, so if you want to view known bugs, you can do that here. So other known bugs that are present in upstream and can't really be fixed here is GTK3 theme via system settings. KDE may cause a complete system settings lockup with GTK3 settings not being changed at all if you use the GTK2 application style. Plasma resets the panel height when you change the screen resolution from the resolution your user account first launched Plasma with. And Calamares doesn't create a swap file during installation from my experience. So if you discover bugs, please send some feedback like I mentioned in the live disk here. So this is from the Feren OS developer. So now we got the welcome screen on first boot. So we'll click start. So it's asking here if you'd like to get third-party codecs from many types of videos, music and more. There's a legal warning there that copyright laws operate differently depending on which country you're in. So please obtain legal advice if you're unsure whether a particular patent or restriction applies to a media format included with the restricted codecs, as codecs installation can be classed as illegal in certain countries. So let's install codecs. So this is pretty nice that it asks you straight out of the box on first startup for codecs. It does tell you here that you can also install these codecs from welcome screen, getting started, updates and extra, restricted codecs. And if you don't want to install the codecs, you can simply press next to skip over this step. So while the codecs are installing, we shall have a quick look at the Feren OS website. This is the website here. I'll put a link in the description below for that. Let's go to Get It and just click on Get It. Now, Feren has two operating systems. One is one that he's been using or working on for a long time, is based on Linux Mint with the Cinnamon desktop, and that one there is a Feren OS sudo rolling release distribution, meaning it will be consistently updated for the system's lifetime. This snapshot brings all the updates up to July 2019 in with it out of the box, and it's ready to install and use today. And then we've got the Feren OS Next Final Beta 4.1, which is what I've got here. The Feren OS experience of the future in a test table form. Feren OS Next, formerly KDE Experimental, is Feren OS but with Plasma as its desktop environment, with the objective of taking over the job of stock Feren OS once the Feren OS experience with Plasma is ready for common usage. This is beta software and as such not a Feren OS designed to be used on daily driver hardware yet. So the specifications is it's based on Ubuntu instead of being based on Linux Mint. Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu, which is based on Debian. So now instead of being based on Linux Mint, based on Ubuntu, based on Debian, it's now based on Ubuntu. He's taken out a base there, which is better, I think, for Feren to do that. So I'm not sure if this one's a sudo rolling release. I'd have to think so. He's got quite a fair few repos there. So I'd have to think it's running the same as his normal release. I think Feren could, if he watches this video, he could confirm that. I'd have to think it is anyway. So that's the Feren OS website. So codecs are installed. Let's click next. Choose the look and feel you prefer. Now, there's a lot more layouts once you've done this. I think we need to probably update, I'm not sure, because there might be a few more, but there is the Ubuntu Unity there, but I was running before I downloaded the new ISO, but I think his ISO, regardless which one you're using, it would update. But I thought I'd download the new ISO and see if there was anything different. But I did see when I was running this, because I installed this over the top of an existing Feren anyway, I thought there was more than this, so we'll check it out. I think at the moment I'll go with the Feren OS default, and then we'll have a look at it. Theme, mode and accent color, and I think this color is to do with maybe in here, that's blue, so yeah, that's blue. So if you choose green, then it would probably go to green, but I'll leave it on blue for now. And then you get the option of a light or dark mode. I'm going to leave it on Feren default. You can pair your Feren OS machine with your Android device thanks to KDE Connect. You can now pair your Android device with your Feren OS machine. You can configure KDE Connect from here. I'll do that later. Let's click Next. Reduce eye strain. The Feren OS allows you to configure night color, a feature designed to give your screen an orange tint, reducing the likelihood of getting eye strain, which means it'll help you wind down rather than keep the bright lights on your eyes, which I believe keeps you awake. Let's go next. So now we get the welcome screen after the initial setup. So now on startup, we got customization, and it runs you through the look and feel, system settings, keyboard shortcuts down there. Now there's no mouse scrolling in here as well. So to apply a layout, select the theme and look and feel and tick use desktop layout from theme. To only apply the theming, select a theme, apply it, and then select no on the next dialog. Okay, so that's interesting. So the utility mentioned above is part of the extensive settings application that Feren OS provides. You can configure certain aspects of your computer from system settings, which is in here, and theme. And yeah, you got a lot more themes here. So it says here that you can select a theme and look and feel and tick use desktop layout from theme to only apply the theming. Select a theme, apply it, and select no on the next dialog. So if we was to go there and apply familiar layout, apply. Now, so this familiar layout works best with use desktop layout on, which is this one. All right, so we'll get into that later. Let's go back home on this one. That's the customizations, updates and extras. So update manager, check for updates. And he's got the Linux Mint updater working in here, which is a good updater. Let's click OK on that. Okay, so he's got quite a few updates coming through. Please set up snapshots. Okay. Cancel that. I don't want snapshots set up, so we'll edit that, preferences. Show a warning if snapshots are not set up. Toggle that off and it won't bother you again. And then we'll go for our closest mirrors. So let's do that. Got some decent speeds there. Another one, even better. Let's apply that one and this one here. So there is some repos from Linux Mint by the looks of it. Linux Mint Tina, unless that's just it's a Ubuntu base and Linux Mint. So because he's pulling stuff from Linux Mint as well, isn't he? So that's probably why. So he's got the Nemo file manager and he's got the Linux Mint updater. So we've selected the fastest mirrors there. Click OK. And we can close that out and we can install our updates. So let's do that first. So the system is now up to date. That all looks good. So that's the updates. We got restricted extras. They are installed already. Next, drivers, driver manager. Let's go back home on that one. So that was updates and extras, optional tasks. Backups with Deja Dupe, firewall, configure users. Don't need to do anything there at the moment. System specifications, that's my system specs. Okay. Keyboard shortcuts. So you've got a lot of keyboard shortcuts there to let you know what the shortcuts are. Drivers, driver manager again. Graphics, Intel drivers are open source and are maintained, updating the kernel. So you're all ready to go. I've already tried out the Nvidia drivers on this and I run my little update as well for Nvidia and it was working fine. And I think I'll do that in this video so people can see. So you got install and configure iBus. Don't need to do that. So which means you can switch between two widely used keyboards. Here. I'm okay with that. Complex input. So that is the welcome screen. Now once you finish that, you've got install software from Snaps or Flatpaks, default settings, so you can reset theme to Feren, restore panels and theme. So there's a lot of thought gone into the welcome screen. Still a work in progress, I would say. So that's the welcome screen. A lot of effort put there into that with from Feren himself, so pretty good job there, and he's really tweaking that quite nicely. So let's have a look at some of the theming. Now what I can show you is I've got some Feren OS snapshots here which I took before I reinstalled this, so I know what I was doing with these themes here. Now let's go to the themes. Theme. Now I like the Unity layout, so let's try that. So we'll click on that, click on Use Desktop Layout from Theme. Your desktop layout will be lost and reset to the default layout provided by the selected theme. Now it says if you don't select that and you select this, it'll ask you a question. Now it may work with these two because these two, see it says Breeze Dark by the KDE VDG. And the same with this one, but this one here will tell you to use desktop layout on. So these two don't do that. Let's just try that. See if it asks me anything. Actually didn't ask me anything for that. And Breeze Dark. All right. So what's the default with Breeze? Is still that one there. So let's go to the Ubuntu Unity layout. Use desktop layout from theme and apply that. Just have to give it a little bit of time to sort itself out. Now this Unity he's got set up here is really nice. And the one thing you'll probably find that you can't find here is with Nemo you have to right click to get this menu up. Well actually the menu's already there, isn't it? Did have a global menu. We probably have to close that for the global menu to work. So let's open that back up. So maybe a restart needed there. So let's go back to settings. Now we have the full screen menu and we shall have a look at some of the themes I put in place from before. Now we go to theme. Now we've got the application style, the GTK application, which I was using X-Arc Shadow. So I'm going to have a look for that. So let's go into this GTK style here. And let's get new, install a local theme, download a GTK3 theme, which I downloaded the Arc Shadow. See if we can find that. I may have to do a search for Shadow maybe. See how we go with that one. Let's install. I'm not quite sure if that's the one. I don't remember it saying for Linux Mint. So let me do a search for Arc Shadow, the proper search. And that's the only one that comes up. So that must be the one. So let's close that. Icons, I search for 2 in icons. Let's get new icons. I search for the Dharmas. I like that. I misspelt that, didn't I? Dharmas. That one there. Install master zip. So that's installed. And also, if we hit that clear button there, it'll go back to, it'll reset itself back to the top of the list. And then we'll go for the Papyrus as well, just to give another option, because I like both of those themes. Just in case one's not working well, but I'm pretty sure it'll be working okay. Now the Feren OS layout was the Unity, which I've done. Now the Plasma theme, I was using Feren OS. And the window decoration is in Window Decorations. So that Papyrus is installed, so let's close that. And now we'll go to Window Decorations. We'll get new Window Decorations, and I'm going to use the Quokka. I like that theme. It's a little bit Windows-esque, but I don't mind. I've always said I don't mind the aesthetics of Windows. There's nothing wrong with it. It's quite nice. Quokka Win, and there's one with a circle as well, no doubt. And that's that one there, but that's the one I want. Quokka and Quokka Dark. So let's set that up and apply that. Quokka Dark, that's that one there. Then the Plasma theme I had, Feren OS, apply that. The application style was, let's have a look. K Vantum, yep. The GTK theme, I had Arc Shadow and Arc Shadow. So let's have a look at that. See, that's not the same. I had a different Arc Shadow because it didn't have that name in it. So if you click on the arrow here, if you click here, it'll install. If you click on the arrow, it's got options of different types of themes there. So anything with an arrow that's got more options. For some reason, I cannot find the Arc Shadow that I installed the first time round. So I've got the Arc collection. Ah, there it is. It must have been in that. So there it is there, Arc Shadow and Arc Shadow. Apply that. So I'm using both themes here, GTK2 and GTK3. Hope nothing goes wrong, but it didn't in the first install. So I'm hoping nothing will go wrong there. Just to show you that, I think it was I think it was the X Arc collection where the Arc Shadow was in that. They must have had a drop-down list and I didn't look at it. So I'm pretty sure that was the one that's installed the Arc Shadow. Now, don't think the Feren OS theme is going to kick in until I close this settings box. So let's do that. I'm pretty sure it should change. System settings. Okay, so that's interesting. No, okay, so what am I missing here? I'm missing one. I'm missing something else, aren't I? Okay, now icons. Let's just do the Dharma-dharmas to start with. Apply that. Let's just check that out. So that's a Dharma-dharmas. We'll go back to system settings. I'm going to apply a little bit of eye candy. We're going to go to desktop effects and I'm going to put in wobbly windows because I can. And there we go. Nice. And right click configure desktop. I'm going to choose a nice backdrop for this install here, which would be, I think, oh, there it is, this one here. So select that one, and there we go. Now let's just run through this very quickly. Let's find what we've got in here to help us out. Graphics, Critter, Photos, Ocular, LibreOffice, Internet. Now the web browser selector, he's got in here as well. And Feren has an enormous amount of web browsers you can choose from. As you can see, Vivaldi is installed. It's got the uninstall selection and you got the selection of all these others. So many choices there for the web browser of your choice. No problem. He has Geary as the email client. Multimedia has VLC. I installed Simple Screen Recorder. He's got Cheese. Full LibreOffice there. Ocular, I think, is PDF viewer, I think. Got your calendar, full screen calendar, and you can add events, birthdays, and calendar settings. You can set up Google online accounts with your calendar, Microsoft Exchange. You can add a calendar from the web, new local calendar, or from file. And as you can see, you've got the global menu up here is working for us, and you got that there. Now the one thing I did notice, and I'm not sure whether you can turn it on or not, there's normally in the normal Nemo a selection up top here to add more selections within this context menu. Cannot find that. I don't know if it's there or not. You got edit and preferences. Now that context menu was dark on there, which was interesting. Preferences. Use full context menu. Let's try that. Ah, there we go. Okay. All right. Well, I found it on video for a change. Something worked in my favor. So that's pretty handy. All right. So that's that. Don't know why the preferences doesn't open. And we got help and about Nemo 4.2.3. Now, for some reasons, things aren't opening in this preferences, in these dialog boxes here. Not quite sure why. Properties. We want preferences, don't we? Okay, that opened. Alright, so I don't know why it wasn't opening before. That was really weird. I'll have to go back and watch my video. Now, where did I put the full, the extra compact view? Oh, that's that one there. Icon view, okay. Alright, so that's Nemo. Now, the one thing that we've got here is we've got some stuff in here. The problem here is we need to open this, let's say, file system, media, I think it's media and colon, and that's the one there. So we need to open that as root, open as root. Now under there we need to go to properties, right click anywhere in there, go to properties and permission. It's actually under my name because I've already changed the permissions, but if you don't do that, then you need to, this will be actually set as root, which is here. It'll be root. You just go to your name and choose your name and then create and delete files and read and write for yourself. And then the group access files and probably read and write as well, and then access files, I think it is, and apply permissions to enclosed files. You can do that, but mine's already done. Now what we're going to do here is add that disk. So we'll go to disks, open up disks, and this partition here, click on that partition. That's the one that I was just looking at, which is my data partition, which is a separate partition, and we'll click on the gear icon here and edit mount options, uncheck that, and click OK and put in your password, and that partition will automatically mount on startup. It's as simple as that. No need to mess around with FS tabs or anything like that. So that's done. Now we're going to go to driver manager. Let's go to settings. Let's just have a quick look. We've got theme color here. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. I'll just cancel that for now. Now the other thing is, actually now I remember, I think I was messing around with the Kvantum. This one here, and I think that's how I selected the colors. Now change and delete theme. I'm not sure if I had Feren Dark or not. Use this theme. Feren Dark's probably a bit too dark compared to the Arc. So we'll just put it back to Feren for now. So we'll go to driver manager. Now just notice there's a little red dot down there because I have trashed something. So there must be something in the trash. Yep, there is. So that's handy to see that little red dot there. So what I'm going to do is install the 390 Nvidia driver and apply changes. Now while that's doing that, I'll mess around with these themes because I did get the themes very close. Let's go to system settings to start with. Now I must have done something with the Kvantum manager to get the themes pretty close. Now the Plasma theme must be this theme here. So if we go for a breeze theme, that should change that. So that's what the Plasma theme does. So that's what that does. So that's your theme here. Application style. Now there was one more thing, colors. That's what I was doing. I was messing around with colors. Right, that's what I did. So I don't know if I took a screenshot of colors. No, see, I messed that one up. I didn't take a screenshot. So what we need to do is try and find a color that suits very close to this theme here, so we can have everything looking a little bit more coherent across the board. Now there was a couple of colors here. Now if we can select that and apply that. So it's not quite the same. Breeze Dark, very similar to that one. What about this one here? It's not quite the same, is it? Maybe it was the wonton soup. So we're looking pretty close there to a little bit of consistency. That's what I'm trying to achieve here. So we've got GTK apps and some of the Qt apps looking very similar. If I open VLC, that might be another one I can try and check it with, maybe, possibly. Probably a bad idea, that one. See, I'm not used to KDE. Let's try the console. What does that look like? That's, yeah, it's not a lot in the console, is there? What else have we got? Kate is another one. Kate's got to be Qt for sure. It's not too bad. So my driver is installed. I need to restart. So let's do that, and then I shall come back and check that out. Okay, so we're back onto the desktop now. I might just pin this simple screen recorder, pin launcher, so it's there every time. To disable this dialog here, we need to go to auto start settings. Use the auto start settings. So I'm going to disable that because I don't really need that popping up on every startup. So let's look for auto start. Let's type auto starts in startup and shutdown. Work in progress notice would have to be that one. Feren WIP welcome screen. Let's disable that. Okay, there's no apply needs to be done by the looks of it, and let's close that. So now what I'm going to do is take a quick visit to YouTube, screen tearing test, and yes, just as I thought, massive amounts of screen tearing. Now, you probably won't see that on the video because you never do, but trust me, there's a lot of screen tearing going on there. So let's close that. Now, what we're going to do is just check first of all, yep, so see the eject button there? That means that auto-mounted the partition. If I have anything that the system's going to read on this partition, it'll definitely be read straight off the bat on startup. So which means that if I swap out these documents, music and pictures, create a link here to those, then it'll be auto-mounted, so there's not a problem there. So I'm going to go to my network and make sure that that's all up and running and working, my home network. That all seems to be working good. I have a cherry tree document that I need in here. Let's cut that to documents and paste. Well, actually, let's move to here. Let's move it to that one, which is this one here, cherry tree. Let's go to the store and see if cherry tree's in the store. Hopefully I don't have to have too much drama to install cherry tree on an Ubuntu based distro, unlike Debian. Cherry tree, there it is there, and let's install that. Password. Okay, so that was a pretty harmless install. Let's open up Cherry Tree. Not too keen on the theming there, although, actually, because I'm looking for these up here. That's probably why. A file, open file, and we'll go to here and open that. And then I can go to my Nvidia screen tearing. Now this is what I'm going to do. Open up a console or a terminal. We need to do this one here, copy that, and I'm going to create that. So there's not one there, so it will create when you do that, sudo nano etc modprobe. And once that opens, when the file opens, add this following command, copy that and paste it in there. And then we Control O. So Control O writes it, Enter just confirms the write, and then Control X to exit. And then we run the following command, this one here. Okay, so that's done that. I'm going to have to do another reboot, and then we'll check that out. So here we are back into the desktop, minus the work in progress welcome screen this time, so that disabling that it has actually worked. So we'll go back to Vivaldi and just double check my screen tearing. I'm pretty sure to be gone. And there we go, absolutely no screen tearing whatsoever. Nvidia. Now I just want to confirm that under profiles, no, not profiles, where is it? Prime profiles. I'm running under Nvidia. Now I'd have to assume if I was to select this and log out and log back in, I'd be running under Intel. So somebody confirm please that that's correct, that that's running the Nvidia. I'm pretty sure it is. The other thing we can do is I've got the Mesa, I think I've got the Mesa things installed, maybe not. We'll just quickly check that. GLX gears. I believe if that's running, if GLX gears is running, you're running Nvidia, I believe. But if you want to check out how to do that, you can install Mesa utils. But that's already installed under Feren. It says before running the commands below, do this, but I've never had to do that. I just run GLX gears and it runs. So that's my little fix for screen tearing on Nvidia. So everything seems to be working all right. The one thing I do like now is a lot of people that I thought looked like they weren't keen on Nemo replacing Dolphin as a file manager. I like Nemo. I like the Cinnamon desktop. But I also like the flexibility of KDE Plasma, even though it's overwhelming and I find it a little bit too much. But you just got to find what works for you and what things you do and don't like. The other things, you don't have to touch them at all. I'm not sure whether there's a difference between Geary, what the best thing. I've tried Geary. I set it up on the previous install. It's a nice looking email. I don't know whether there's an advantage or a disadvantage by running Geary or Thunderbird. I'm not sure about that. If anybody knows, please let me know. Let's have a look at ksysguard system load. So memory is 1.1 gig of 7.7 gig. I have had Nvidia and the GLX gears running, and also I'm running simple screen recorder, so that's pretty good. CPUs are fairly low, so that's okay. So that'll looks good. So with Nemo File Manager, you're able to do things like with the properties of this that I looked at earlier, and you go to here and you right click. Well, actually, no, what I did was went to the file system and went to media and open as root. Now that I'm open as root, and you can see, now I like the way that does that too, because I can clearly, it's all white. I can clearly see I'm running as root. I'm in elevated privileges, file system mount. And that's that there, and then you can right click and go to properties and set your permissions. So you can do that in Dolphin, not out of the box. You need to set it up. Silent Robot has got a video. I'm sure he made a video about that on how to set up elevated privileges in Dolphin. But I do like the Nemo File Manager. I find it a very good one, and I'm very comfortable in using Nemo. Let's try theme color. So they're all the colors. So I just wonder if that's the same as the colors in here. It'd have to be maybe the same as this one, possibly. That's got the Feren green and cyan and dark and all that. So it could be the same thing. I'm not sure. I think I'd have to ask Feren about that. I'm not sure what the differences are. Now, software sources. We can have a look at our software sources like we can in Linux Mint, Cinnamon. So you can add PPAs in here. Additional repositories Feren's got there. The key rings, maintenance. So he's got a lot of things that that comes with Linux Mint. So if you are a Linux Mint supporter, but you like the KDE desktop, Feren is integrating quite a few things into this, because Linux Mint don't have a KDE anymore, but the way he's got this set up is quite nice. Update manager, your system is up to date. So that is photos. There doesn't seem to be any global menu for photos, so I'm not quite sure whether you can find the about photos or not. Doesn't look like there's any about. Not quite sure where that is. And that is very much it for Feren OS. I think I've covered most things. I'm really warming up to this Feren OS, the way Feren has worked out his Plasma desktop and integrating some of the Cinnamon applications and so forth in there. It's quite handy. Now, the one thing we haven't looked at is the store. Flatpaks and snaps are available in the store. I know Flatpaks are here. And you'll probably find snaps on any search more than likely. I'm not 100% sure how that works. Let's try Audacity and see if we can find... That's a Flatpak. What's this one here? So if we go to the Feren welcome screen and look for... Did have a snaps option there, didn't it? Install software snap apps. Snap support is not installed. Would you like to install it? There we go. Let's say yes. And it's going to go ahead and install Snap support for you. So now we have the GNOME software Snap Store. Oh, it's the Snap Store. So yes, I did a video on the Snap Store. There we have the store for snaps. I like this idea because now we got the Snap Store installed, but it's separate. And you've also got your normal store, this one here, and you've got Flatpak selection here, so you know these are all Flatpaks running through this, but if you do a search you will get your different Flatpaks and your standard repo install. So that Audacity would be from the standard repos or the Ubuntu repos, and this one here would be from Flatpak obviously, and then we've got the Snap Store, which is that one there. And I always said that that Snap Store looks a bit like the Feren icon. So now it's found its home. So that's all exciting stuff. I'm really warming up and liking the way Feren has really organized this desktop. Still a work in progress, don't forget that. It's experimental now, it's gone to beta 4. So there is a few things that probably still need to be ironed out, which Feren's working on. But so far, I'm liking the experience. It's really smooth and nice. Just really liking the attention to detail that Feren shows in some of the things here. So that was Feren OS Beta 4 install and look around. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting and informative, and thanks for watching.